Larry Bird was just inches away from never making a mark in basketball. In the 1970s, before he became an NBA icon, he was working as a garbage man in French Lake, Indiana. Basketball wasn't even on his radar as a career. He figured he'd end up pouring concrete, just like his father. I thought I'd wind up being a construction worker. As far as basketball goes, I just wanted to be the best player on my high school team. But fate had other plans. Thanks to a bit of luck and a coach who never gave up on him, the world got to witness the genius of Larry Bird, a sharpshooter like no other, an underrated defender, and one of the greatest rebounders at his position. Oh, and let's not forget, one of the most legendary trash talkers the NBA has ever seen. Larry Bird was born in 1956 in West Baden, Indiana, a small farming town next to French Lick, with a population of about 2,000. He was the fourth of 6 children, raised in a family that struggled financially. His father, Joe, was a construction worker, and his mother, Georgia, worked in a diner. With Joe's unstable work and battles with alcoholism, the family often struggled to make ends meet. Winters were brutal. When their old furnace would break down, they were left freezing. Poverty left a lasting impression on Larry.
As growing up, you don't realize that you don't have anything because you never had it in the first place. Making some money and looking back, I remember all of it, and I don't want to be like that again.
And I never wanted to be in that situation again. His escape, sports. Larry and his brothers played baseball, football, and basketball every single day. His older brothers, talented basketball players themselves, unknowingly shaped his competitive edge. Growing up chasing them made him tougher, sharper, and more skilled. He practiced endlessly, pushing himself harder than ever, and to his own amazement, he fell in love with the game. I played when I was cold, when my body ached, when I was exhausted. I don't know why, but I just kept playing. He made the freshman team, but only as a bench warmer. Then, a sophomore year ankle injury sidelined him for most of the season. But during that time, Larry witnessed something that would shape his mindset forever. One day, his father came home with an ankle so badly injured that he needed help just to get his boot off. Yet the next morning, he forced it back on and went to work.
We don't know if he broke it or he just hurt it, but couldn't get his boot on. We had to help him get his boot on and go to work. So to me, it had been very easy to just say heck with it, but he knew he had to go.
That really made an impression on me. It would have been easy to say, to hell with it, but he knew he had to go. Watching that, I learned to push through pain. While still on crutches, Bird was in his driveway, shooting 200 baskets before school every morning. Larry started absorbing every lesson from his coach, practicing with a near-obsessive intensity. A sudden transformation.
Well, my confidence came from me shooting basketball by myself for hours upon hours. I mean, I didn't pick up the ball on a Saturday and decide I was going to score 40 a game. I mean, that preparation came way before that.
He loved setting up teammates for easy buckets, so much so that his coach had to force him to start shooting more. That's when things changed. Over the summer before his senior year, Larry had a massive growth spurt. He shot up 4 inches to 6'7", gained 40 pounds of muscle, and became an absolute force on the court. Suddenly, he was the best shooter, passer, and ball handler on the team. The numbers proved it. He dropped 55 points, 24 rebounds, and 5 assists in one game. Later that season, he went off for 54 points, 38 rebounds, and 8 assists without a three-point line. By season's end, Bird was averaging 31 points, 21 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. That earned him a scholarship to play for legendary coach Bobby Knight at Indiana University. But just 4 weeks into college, Larry was miserable. He was broke, overwhelmed by the crowds, and felt completely out of place.
Financially, I couldn't stay. Okay. Reg, I just couldn't do it.
While working as a garbage collector, Larry found peace. He enjoyed the simplicity of the job, and for a while, he thought that was his future. But destiny wasn't done with him yet. One coach refused to let his talent go to waste. Eventually, Larry was convinced to give basketball another shot. He enrolled at Indiana State University, where he led the team to an undefeated season and the NCAA championship game. His legendary duel with Magic Johnson marking the beginning of one of the greatest rivalries in sports history. From there, the rest is history. Larry Bird became an NBA legend, winning 3 championships, 3 MVPs, and cementing his place as one of the greatest players to ever grace the court. Pat Riley once said, "If I had to pick a player to take a shot to save a game, I'd pick Michael Jordan. But if I had to pick a player to take a shot to save my life, I'd take Larry Bird." And that's how a garbage man became an NBA legend. But while Larry Bird found peace in the simplicity of working as a garbage man, Tossing trash bags, fixing benches, and keeping the parks clean, his personal life took a tragic turn in 1975. At just 18 years old, Larry faced a devastating blow. His father took his own life.
He chose the way he wanted to die, and he did it. And it's just unfortunately that some people have problems like that. But, you know, I wish he was here, but he's not. So I have to go on with my life and try to make the most of my life, just like the rest of my family has. And that's where we dealt with it.
Larry's father, Joe Bird, had long battled PTSD and alcoholism, which ultimately led to his separation from Larry's mother. With alimony payments piling up and creditors knocking at the door, Joe saw no way out except through this life insurance policy. He made one final call to his ex-wife, telling her she wouldn't have to worry about the debts anymore. Then he hung up and ended his life. Larry and his father had been inseparable, and the loss cut deep. Though he felt betrayed, he also understood his father's decision and respected the sacrifice he made for his family. It was this same attitude that Larry carried with him onto the basketball court, a relentless determination to push forward, no matter the odds. Between 1975 and 1976, still a teenager, Larry Bird had already endured more hardship than most experience in a lifetime. He had quit 2 colleges, lost his father, and suffered through a bitter divorce. Who knows how his life might have turned out if it weren't for one determined man, Bill Hodges, the assistant coach at Indiana State University. Hodges saw something special in Bird. He knew the talent was there, but convincing Larry to return to basketball wasn't easy. Bird had lost confidence after failing at Indiana University. He had settled into life as a garbage man, weighed down by family struggles, but Hodges refused to give up. One day, he visited Larry at his mother's house and listened as Bird spoke about a buddy of his who could really play ball but never went to college. Hodges simply responded, "Yeah, Larry, they're going to say that about you someday." With that, he got up and walked out, leaving Larry to think. 2 days later, the phone rang. It was Bird. He was ready to play again, and just like that, he joined Indiana State, setting his life on a new trajectory.
Hodges hadn't been as persistent as he had been, Larry Bird might never have existed in any of our minds. I believe that with all my heart.
If Bill Hodges hadn't been so persistent, the name Larry Bird might never have been known. In his first season with the Sycamores, Bird, now standing at 6'9", dominated the court. He averaged an astonishing 33 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block per game.
I started playing, it's the same old thing. You know, he's in a small school and he ain't playing against anybody, which is fine. Still dominated.
Once I started playing, it was the same old story. Oh, he's at a small school. He's not playing against real competition. But that didn't matter, Bird said. I just went out there and did my thing. Auerbach wasn't impressed with the talent pool in the 1978 NBA draft. He was convinced Bird would be the #1 pick in 1979, out of reach for the Celtics. But he noticed a loophole because Bird had enrolled at Indiana University in 1974. Even though he dropped out shortly after, he was technically eligible for the draft. Taking Bird was a gamble. Larry could choose to re-enter the draft the following year if he wanted. But Auerbach rolled the dice, selecting Bird with the 6th overall pick in 1978. The NBA world was stunned.
I just think that Red took a gamble because he had the 6th and the 8th pick that year. He wanted me. And why didn't he wait to the 8th pick? You know, why did he take me the 6th pick?
Then came the moment that would define college basketball history, the national championship game against Michigan State and their charismatic superstar, Magic Johnson. Bird played his heart out, but Michigan State had the deeper, more athletic team. They double-teamed him, forced tough shots, and ultimately secured the title. The rivalry between Bird and Magic had just begun, but their showdown that night forever changed the sport. The 1979 NCAA Finals between Larry Bird and Magic Johnson remains one of the most iconic games in college basketball history. Fueled by the intense rivalry and media hype surrounding the two future NBA legends, the game achieved the highest television rating ever for a college basketball contest, drawing an astonishing 35 million viewers. That record still stands today. After the college season ended, Bird faced a pivotal decision, whether to join the Boston Celtics or re-enter the draft. On April 6, 1979, he visited Boston, where Celtics legendary coach Red Auerbach and Bird's agent negotiated his contract. They finally settled on a deal worth $650,000 per year, making Bird the highest-paid rookie in NBA history at the time. Despite the pressure that came with such a deal, Bird remained unfazed. "If I fail, I fail," he said. "I've failed classes before. I know the feeling." But failure was the last thing on his mind when the season started. Bird wasted no time making an impact.
It took me probably 3 days after a rookie camp. I found out that, hey, this league is nothing. I can play in this league and I will dominate in this league.
He transformed the Celtics from a struggling 29-53 team in 1979 to a dominant 61-21 powerhouse in 1980, securing the best record in the NBA. His rookie season stats minus 21.3 points, 10.4 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.7 steals per game earned him an All-Star selection, a first-team All-NBA nod, fourth placed in MVP voting, and the coveted Rookie of the Year award over Magic Johnson. However, in the Eastern Conference Finals, Julius Erving's Philadelphia 76ers proved too strong, preventing a much-anticipated championship showdown between Bird and Magic. The following season, 1981, it was Magic who failed to reach the finals. Meanwhile, Bird's Celtics, bolstered by the addition of Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish in what was later called the steal of the century, constructed one of the greatest frontcourts in NBA history. The revamped Celtics won 62 regular season games.
The one thing that we did my second year, we picked up Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. Now, we didn't know how they was going to fit in, but they fit in very nicely.
With Bird finishing as runner-up for MVP behind Dr. J. The playoffs were even more thrilling, with Boston narrowly edging out Philadelphia in a grueling 7-game Eastern Conference Finals, 5 of those games being decided on the final possession. In the next 2 seasons, Bird's numbers soared, and he finished second in MVP voting both times. By 1983, he even ranked third in Defensive Player of the Year voting, defying critics who doubted his athleticism. Despite Bird's brilliance and McHale's rise, the Celtics suffered playoff heartbreak, losing to the Sixers in the '82 Conference Finals and getting swept by Milwaukee in '83. Averaging 24.2 points, 10 rebounds, and 6.6 assists while leading the league in free throw percentage. He finally won his first MVP award and played the best postseason basketball of his career.
Won the championship in '81. I feel like we had a good enough team where we could start a destiny and win a lot of championships.
After dispatching Washington, New York, and avenging the Bucks, Bird faced off against his old rival, Magic Johnson, in the NBA Finals.
That was something that I always dreamed about since he beat us in college.
The 7-game war was a battle of wills, with both teams struggling offensively in the deciding game.
I can remember we didn't shoot the ball extremely well, but we played hard. We got to all the loose balls. We did the things that was necessary for us to win.
That hustle secured a 111-102 victory and another championship for Boston. With 27 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals per game, Bird was named Finals MVP. The rivalry continued in 1985, but this time Magic and the Lakers got their revenge, winning the title with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as Finals MVP. Determined to reclaim their dominance, the Celtics acquired former MVP Bill Walton in 1986, a move that paid off spectacularly. Boston went 67-15, losing just 1 home game all season. Bird was at his peak, averaging 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists while shooting nearly 50-40-90. To keep himself entertained during the long regular season, Bird would challenge himself with unique feats, like playing an entire game left-handed. Against Portland in February, he did just that, scoring 47 points, grabbing 14 rebounds, and dishing 11 assists, including the game winner in overtime. That season, Bird won his 3rd consecutive MVP award.
If I remember the game correctly, they were forcing me left to help. And they wasn't getting there quick enough, so I had shots around 5-6 foot with my left hand. I felt more comfortable with my left hand there than I did my right. Then once I got started making a few, I just kept going.
Joining Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain as the only players to do so. In the playoffs, the Celtics dominated, sweeping Jordan's Bulls, taking down Dominique's Hawks, and sweeping the Bucks to reach the finals, where they defeated the Rockets in 6 games.
The announcer let me know every time I scored. So he go 48, 50, 52, and when it got to that with like 3 or 4 minutes to go, I thought I might as well go ahead and try to get 60, and that's what I did.
Bird flirted with the finals triple-double, 24 PPG, 9.7 RPG, 9.5 APG, winning his 2nd Finals MVP. The 1987 season saw Bird become the first player to shoot 50-40-90 for an entire season, but injuries and fatigue caught up with the Celtics. Despite that, Bird's iconic steal against Isaiah Thomas in the Eastern Conference Finals propelled Boston to a 4th straight finals against the Lakers.
I was the healthiest one on the roster. That's not saying much. I felt pretty good. I know Robert had ankle injuries, and Kevin broke his foot. Danny had a hip problem, and just to get to the finals, it made us feel good.
However, Magic's squad had the upper hand this time, and the Celtics fell short.
And it was like in slow motion. It was like the ball like goes up in the air. I didn't even see it.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ.
In 1988, Bird delivered his best statistical season, 30 PPG, 9 RPG, 6 APG, 50 to 40-90 shooting. But the Celtics lost in the conference finals. The next season, Bird's body began breaking down. A persistent back injury, worsened by his insistence on building his mother's driveway by hand, limited him to just 6 games in 1989. He spent all day shoveling gravel and ended up hurting his back, one report noted. Even after surgery, Bird's back was never the same, requiring extensive realignments before every game.
Larry decides to do it himself. This is Larry Bird, the superstar, out there breaking his back, literally shoveling gravel.
Who's coming in second? Or refusing to chase a quadruple double because, in his words, I'd done enough damage already. Bird was not just a fierce competitor. He was a deeply loyal and humble man. When the Celtics won the '84 title, he requested a championship ring for longtime equipment manager Walter. If you found this story inspiring, how a garbage man defied the odds to become an NBA legend, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more amazing stories. See you in the next one.